Will be Saturday at Conrad Bellman Funeral Homes in Oshkosh, with visitation starting at 10 a.m. The body of a 65-year-old man was recovered from the Kewaunee River yesterday. Kewaunee County Sheriffs received a call just before 5:30 a.m. that a man had gone ice fishing Sunday but had not returned. Officials found his vehicle and equipment near the river and recovered his body late Monday morning. Officials remind anglers that the ice is very unpredictable right now, and no ice is safe ice. The Packers Heritage Trail Monument is gone. Monday morning, crews removed the statues, photos, and pavers from the monument near the corner of Adams and Washington Streets. A part of downtown Green Bay since 2013, the monument was moved to make way for an 8-story, 268-unit luxury apartment building. The city of Green Bay paid over $109,000 to disassemble the monument. Packers Heritage Trail has yet to determine its new location. Former Green Bay Packers wide receiver Donald Driver is teaming up with Cousin Subs to benefit Children's Wisconsin's Fox Valley Hospital. For every sub sandwich sold in the Fox Valley locations from now through December 12th, the Driven to Deliver Cheer campaign will donate 80 cents to be used to purchase toys for children in need. Driver himself will deliver the toys to the hospital. This is the third year of the campaign. For a list of participating locations, see our story on our website. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
Badgers losing their quarterback. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. College football, the Badgers' starting quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, has announced he's entered the transfer portal. Van Dyke suffered a torn ACL in his right knee, week 3, ending his season. He was replaced by Braden Locke. Wisconsin has hired a new offensive coordinator, 58-year-old Jeff Grimes, most recently with Kansas. NBA, the Bucks host the Magic tonight in Milwaukee. It's an NBA Cup quarterfinal game. Major League Baseball meetings underway in Dallas. The Brewers say that Christian Yelich making progress from his back surgery. Manager Pat Murphy on shortstop Willie Adames leaving the team in free agency after signing with the Giants.
Willie, the guy can play, man. You want the ball hit to him in a big situation. You want him at the plate. He plays every day, and you want him up in every big situation. He's proven it time and time again. That's who he is. He loves it. He revels in it. I mean, we've lost a lot. We lost Burns. We lost Hader in the recent years. But losing this guy, woo.
That's Brewers manager Pat Murphy. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight, some flurries and snow showers late through tomorrow afternoon, fluffing up to a dusting to an inch at most. Temps steady to slowly falling through the 20s tonight and tomorrow as the wind picks up, dropping wind chills below zero as the sky clears. Much colder for Wednesday night and Thursday. Current temp is 30.
Civic Media, Wisconsin's source for real news and great conversation, offers podcasts of all of our daily shows online and on demand. Simply go to civicmedia.us, click on daily shows, and choose the podcast that you want to download. Shows are updated daily, or you can save them and listen all at once. Our podcasts are sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. You are an organ donor, right? Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Learn more at heroicdeed.com.
Matt Nair on air. This shouldn't be a thing.
Michigan man leads lawnmower chase. I'll stop, says the suspect. Instead, he reaches under the seat and pulls out a gun.
Shoots himself in the hand.
The deputy has his taser trained on him, and yes, he tased him.
I'm not advocating for crime, but boost something that goes faster than cop on foot.
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays 10 till noon on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Earl Ingram.
Tune in. Next time, we'll talk about protecting yourself from lead exposure with the Campaign for Lead-Free Water and Plaque. I'll also be joined by
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who always reads between the lines until he sees a car coming, Pete Schwaba.
Let's light it up. Let's do it. It is Tuesday night, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you with me. Welcome to Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba. I am your host, Pete Schwaba. What are the odds? Great to have you with me wherever you are joining us from in Wisconsin tonight. It is it's great that we could connect like this. So let's take the next 2 hours and talk about the things we love, my fellow couch potatoes, talk about TV, talk about movies, books, music, and maybe we'll have some laughs too. Riding shotgun, as always, is the lovable producer, Conrad.
Hey.
Well said. All right. How are you doing tonight, Conrad? Hey, it was kind of... You didn't happen to golf the last 2 days, did you?
Not the last two, no.
Because it was pretty, it wasn't like tropical or anything, but it probably could have gotten 18 holes in, right?
I don't know if any of the courses are still open after in December. It's kind of crazy to keep the course open.
If golf wants to be taken seriously as a sport, keep the damn courses open until there's snow on the ground.
No, snow golf is fun. Why not?
Yeah, use orange balls, right?
I mean, that might not be the worst problem out there, but
I think it could be fun. That to me would make golf more exciting, actually. But what do I know? Great to have you with us tonight, folks. This is Nite Lite. We have a lot of fun planned for this evening. So it is good that you are here, and we hope that you partake in said fun. We've got a question of the night. We've got guests. We've got interesting topics. It's all coming your way over the next 2 hours. Starting us off tonight in the guest column, batting leadoff, is our favorite wrestling announcer and fellow Civic Media team member. He works out of WRJN in Racine. Rich Lucasio will be here. Be exciting to see Rich.
Maybe get a new nickname, too.
I need a new nickname. I had the punching bag. Rich is a wrestling announcer, and we went over this the last time or a couple times ago when he was on the show. We tried to come up with a nickname for me that he could announce me in a wrestling match. First, we came up with the punching bag. We decided that wasn't going to instill fear in my opponents.
No.
So we changed that to the Schwabinator, which I think was pretty good.
That is pretty good.
And Rich did a great job, kind of laying that track down for us. I don't know. We'll have to dig that up, or maybe he could redo it if we can come up with a new nickname. That would be fine too. Rich will be here. He is about to turn 40. That's very exciting in a young man's life. So we'll talk about Rich's birthday too. And then at 7:05, we have, this is kind of exciting. I love kind of changing things up. And we had Charo on the show a couple months ago. She was delightful. Lots of fun, lots of energy. And playing that same theater in Baraboo, the Al Ringling Theater in beautiful Baraboo, Wisconsin, is the Swedish jazz queen, as she is known, Gunhild Carling. I always want to say Grunhild for some reason. Gunhild Carling. We had a chance to talk with her a couple days ago. We will play that interview. She was a lot of fun. And interestingly enough, reminded me a lot of Charo, just from an energy standpoint. She also dances. She plays like 20 instruments, and she's got a great sense of humor. So I talked to her. We'll play that at 7:05. Tickets are still available for that show, I believe, at the Al Ringling Theater in Baraboo. And I think she's there December, was it 6? I think it's this Saturday, actually. She'll be there. So we will give you more information on that coming up. And then at 7:20, Wisconsin-based, Northeast Wisconsin-based writer Brett Kissinger will be in the studio. He has a new book out. We will talk about that with Brett. I think it's so cool that people still read books. Even more cool that they still write them, because I, as a former English major, used to be a big-time reader. But now, thanks to iPads and iPhones, my attention span is nothing. My attention span is nothing. See what I did there, Conrad? So I'm trying to be more of a reader. So I will ask Brett for some tips when he is here. We'll talk about his new book. He's always fun to talk to. That's at 7:20. What am I forgetting, Conrad? Are there guests we have in secret that we're going to roll out? That covers it, right?
Well, I think we got to get to the question.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question. Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Question.
Hey, I have a question. Questions? This question.
Domanda.
Question.
Question.
Questions.
Are Christmas cards outdated? Do you still send them out? That is tonight's question, ladies and gentlemen. Do you still send out Christmas cards? Feel free to elaborate as to why you don't or why you do. As I mentioned recently on the phone, right when we got into the season, or on the show, right when we got into the season, I stopped sending them out because I just, honest to God, did not have the energy. I mean, I know hundreds of people. And where do you find the cutoff? Do you just go family and close friends, work colleagues? It's exhausting. I just don't do it. And a lot of times I feel like people that send them out, it's like a show-off type thing. And I don't want to be that guy either. What do you think about that, Conrad? Do you think it's like if you send out a picture, your most handsome picture, do you think you're just looking for people to say, "Oh, you're so handsome, Conrad"? Sometimes I feel like that's why people send them out.
I expect at least 10 you're handsomes.
Okay. Out of how many cards sent out?
Out of 10.
Okay. You want to bat 1,000, right? But some people just do it because they're personal and they're lovely. And I like getting them. And when I read them, the ones I get, especially when there's a note involved, I do feel guilty that I don't still send them out. So I'm kind of torn here, but I don't do it anymore. I'm wondering if you do. Let me know. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC. Do you still send out Christmas cards? Are they outdated? What's your process? Let us know. Maybe you'll motivate Conrad and I to start sending cards out again. How about a Nite Lite Christmas card? That could be kind of fun. Or maybe we'll just do a post. See, that's what everybody does. They just post it electronically. It's so much easier. And that's what I tend to do more these days. But I think Kristen Lyerly was here last night. And like she said, there is nothing like getting a handwritten letter. And I agree with that. I just can't write anymore. You know, she kind of bailed on that question, too. I said, I can't. I said, my arm muscles don't work. She made a joke. She went for the low-hanging fruit of why my right arm muscles not work as well. But honestly, it's so hard to write. My cursive is terrible, and my printing is worse. So I would type something, and that would seem impersonal. But honestly, that's just, you're going to get at least a legible note from me if I do it that way. So let us know. It's always more fun when you guys get involved. And as you know, you can comment on anything we're talking about tonight. I'm going to lead things off, this discussion. This was out yesterday. I think this ran in my Hollywood beats either today or yesterday. Keira Knightley. You ever see the movie Love Actually?
I think I have, but it's been super long. But it's the one with the note cards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's a lovely movie. It's kind of a feel-good film, a holiday film. I've seen it maybe 1.5, maybe 2 times. Liked it. Keira Knightley says it was creepy because when Andrew Lincoln shows up at the door to do the cue cards, she said she told the director it was creepy. And I didn't know what she meant until I kept reading the article. And apparently, at the time, Keira Knightley was 17. Andrew Lincoln was like 31 or 30. And he's trying to woo her from her husband, Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's like 28, and married this 17-year-old girl. I mean, I know it was, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever. That's still weird. And I hate when I find something out that kind of changes the movie for me. Or like when a songwriter who did something creepy, when I hear that, I just can't enjoy it as much. Now, maybe she was playing someone older than 17. I still think that's kind of weird. And it's really strange that she's married at that age. And this guy's hitting on her with cue cards. He's like trying to have a say anything moment with John Cusack, only that was like cute. This is weird. I agree with Keira Knightley. What do you think about that, Con Man?
I mean, I don't really have an opinion on it, I guess, because I don't know the movie that much. I don't even remember what the note card said. I just know, like,
here's what the note card said. You're 17. I have no business being here. This is inappropriate. Why are you married? I'm still hitting on you. It's just weird.
It is weird. It is weird.
And she even said so back then. She even had the wherewithal at 17 to say this is kind of creepy. And I don't even think she was referring to the age necessarily. But just the fact that this guy shows up with cue cards, it's like, yeah, what is he doing? I think back then, sometimes you do something in a movie and it's like, oh, God, that's so romantic. And it's borderline stalkerish. And that's what she said about this moment. He's kind of stalking her. So I don't know. I don't know if that'll change how you watch the movie from now on or not. But I thought it was, I think they should change the title of the movie to Love Predatorially. How many guys can hit on the 17-year-old girl, have him show up at the door and think of something clever to stalk her? Weird. I don't know. Here's what we're doing, folks. On on Christmas Eve, Nite Lite is going to kick off 24 hours of music on the network. It'll play on the whole network so the show host can have the day off. We're going to play Christmas music starting at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, I believe all the way through Christmas Day, maybe to midnight. So it might be like 36 hours. But Nite Lite is going to kick that off on Christmas Eve from 4 to 6. We will be on 2 hours early. And what we are asking people to do, and I think this will kind of be fun, we'll read your stories on the air. If you have a good Christmas story, share it with us. If you have a great cookie you make, share it with us. Your favorite song, Christmas song or carol, let us know. We want to know all this stuff because we're going to have a lot of fun on Christmas Eve. We're going to read this stuff. Favorite Christmas movies. Obviously, we could talk about that. Whatever you guys want to share, send it to nitelite@civicmedia.us. You got some time. We got a couple weeks. nitelite@civicmedia.us. Send us an email, somewhat as detailed as you want to make it, and we will read that on the 24th before we kick off an entire day of fantastic Christmas carols here at Civic Media, as we wish all of you a Merry Christmas. Conrad, when we come back, you got to tell me, we got a new contest here. We want to get a plug-in for that, too, and get people involved in that as well. Man, what else? We've got texts rolling in. We'll read your text next, too. Rich Locasio coming up at 6:35. We're looking for a new nickname. The Schwabinator might fall by the wayside. I need a wrestling nickname, folks. Feel free to share that as well. We'll have Rich announce me when he's here at 6:35. This is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Well, sat there at the table and acted real naive. Her knew that topless lady had something up her sleeve. Well, she danced around the barroom.
From Denmark to De Pere, this is 97.9 WGBW.
Surprise! Your expenses this month were way higher than you expected! Also, you forgot to renew your website domain and now you're in a bidding war!
You should see the look on your face.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Plus, the fridge died in the break room and now everything smells weird!
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. If you follow the American Democracy Minute, you know that until last year, Wisconsin held the infamous title as one of the most gerrymandered states in the U.S. That changed November 5th. Former Governor Scott Walker accelerated gerrymandering of the Wisconsin Assembly, Senate, and congressional maps during his 2011 to 2019 tenure, engineering a 64-35 majority in the Wisconsin Assembly and a 22-11 majority in the Senate, despite an evenly divided liberal and conservative electorate. In 2023, the GOP was short of a supermajority by only 2 assembly seats. Vetoes by current Governor Tony Evers tried to keep even worse maps at bay, but a conservative Wisconsin Supreme Court ultimately allowed them. But a Supreme Court election in 2023 shifted the ideology of the court, and the court's reconsideration of the Assembly and Senate maps led to new, fairer maps for the 2024 general election. While Republicans maintain control of both houses, fair maps reduced the artificial Republican advantage in the Assembly 54-45 and the Senate 18-15. Veto overrides of the governor are far less likely, forcing the legislature to compromise on more legislation. The congressional district map, which did not change but is also widely recognized as gerrymandered, gave a 6-2 advantage to
Locasio, didn't I? You told me it was Locasio.
Yeah,
Were you wrong?
I actually don't remember how you just said it.
I said Locasio because I asked you last night before we did the promo, but I saw he just messaged us. Or it was somewhere here. Okay, please remind Pete of the pronunciation of my last name, Locasio. Doggone it, Conrad. You took a powder on Locasio's name. Locasio. All right, Rich Locasio is here at 6:35. He is he's one of our frequent flyers here at Nite Lite. Always fun to talk to Rich. That's coming up. On the stream, we have the Nite Lite email address, nitelite@civicmedia.us. If you're on the stream and you want to send us a Christmas story, your favorite Christmas cookie, Christmas movie, Christmas carol, whatever, your Christmas routine, if you go to midnight mass or if you hang out with family or if you celebrate Hanukkah, that's fine as well, or Kwanzaa, whatever. Tell us what you do. We will do it. We will discuss it on our Christmas Eve show before we play 24 hours of Christmas music. Sarah Jean on the stream says, I still send out Christmas cards. I actually have an annual family gathering that we get together and fill them out, or some even make their own. I sent out around 45 cards this year. That sounds very sensible. 45 cards is doable. I'm down with that, Sarah. Sarah continues, the annual card day is a fun day of food, Christmas movies, catching up. It's a fun time. Now, see, that's a great idea. If you make an event of it, it's less painful. Because I used to sit down, my wife and I would sit down and address these cards and put a personalized message. It was so time consuming. You got to track down people's addresses. Do I sound like a curmudgeon?
Kind of.
I'm okay with that. Craig Anthony checking in on the stream. Always used to send out Christmas cards complete with a summary letter of all the cool things that took place over the year. It also included a family picture. When it got to be too hard to get the picture taken each year, the cards sadly stopped as well. Craig, I think you just need to send a picture of yourself. Anytime a dude sends out a card with a picture of himself, it would make me laugh just because I think it takes guts. You know what would be weirder is if I sent out a Christmas card of just me and I've got a wife and 2 kids. I said from the Schwabas, Merry Christmas, but here's just a picture of me. Wow, that would be weird. People would probably suggest therapy. All right, so and then kicking over to the text line, let us know. Do you still send out Christmas cards? That's our question tonight. You can tell us your process like Craig just did, or Sarah Jean. That's a great idea to make an event out of it, and probably a better way to get things done. On the text line, Sherry says, good evening, Pete and Conrad and friends. She says, I read every day, love books. I knew Sherry was going to say that. I think you've told us that before, Sherry, also to make me feel guilty. It's working. I will become a reader again. That is my vow to you, Sherry. She said, yes, I just sent out Christmas cards today. Family, close friends. That's the way to do it. Sherry says, I'll send a card. Oh, she's going to send Civic Media a card. That's nice. We'll get you that address, Sherry. Sherry also says, love John Prine. Me too, Sherry. He's one of my favorite songwriters. John Prine, Bruce Springsteen, and Gordon Lightfoot are probably my favorite songwriters. Maybe even John Denver, if you go the folky route. Jim from Appleton says, nickname. This is when it comes to a wrestling nickname for me, the Schwaba Bomber. I like that. What do you think about that, Conrad? The Schwaba Bomber.
I like it.
Yeah. We'll see what Rich can do with that. All right, we have a phone call. Who's on the phone?
It's Jim from Appleton.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
I'm doing okay, Pete. How you doing? You guys had a great show.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I'm glad you're a part of it. Thanks so much. I liked your nickname, the Schwaba Bomber. I can work with that. We'll see what Rich can do.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a word. I have a word for this holiday season that covers almost everything.
Oh, please share.
But it's impossible to type. So, Chris Mahana Kwanzaa.
Chris Mahana Kwanzaa. Wow.
Chris Mahana Kwanzaa.
I like
that. Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. Everything's in there.
I think you need to copyright that because you just said it on the radio. Someone could steal it. That's like right up there with turducken, like the Thanksgiving meal on the NFL. That's great. I love that, Jim.
Well, thank you.
We will, Conrad. Let's make a note of that. We got to
we'll
bring
do.
that up again. We'll see what we can do with that. Jim, if we make money off your suggestion, we'll give you a taste. Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Sounds
buddy.
great.
Thanks, man. Have a great night.
You too.
That's
Bye-bye.
Jim from Appleton, one of our most frequent texters. That's a great. I've already forgotten it. Chris Mahana-Kwanzaa. Chris Mahana-Kwanzaa. Is that it?
I think we're missing
Just
another
write it down
syllable in there.
phonetically. Somehow I worked Arbor Day into there. I don't know how that works. So, all right. Rich Locascio coming up in just a few minutes. Let's never get his name wrong, please. He's one of our favorite, and we've massacred it on more. It's kind of weird because, and I don't know if Rich would be open to this, but maybe let's try to talk him into going with Locascio. Just because that would make it easier for us when he's on the show. Is that too much to ask?
I don't know.
Rich Locascio. It's Locascio. We'll respect your name, Rich. Excited to talk to you in a few minutes. We have to go already? Is it already time for the news, or was that did you do a George Costanza? Did your elbow move and hit the button? You know what I'm excited about? I am not, I've said this before, and I'm probably wrong. I say I'm not a zombie guy. But I loved The Walking Dead. I got into it, and I watched it. I liked the HBO, Pedro Pascal, The Last of Us.
I've actually I didn't watch that yet, but I played the video game.
I liked it. And now the 28 Days series, I have not seen any of that. And now there's about to be 3 movies out. I'm kind of excited because I feel like they get good reviews. They're well done. I am going to throw myself into Zombieland again and watch those movies. Oh, and I saw Zombieland with Woody Harrelson.
I love that movie.
That was funny.
I
liked
good.
it a lot. Bill Murray and that was so funny. I was not expecting that. I love weird movies like that. All right, send us your Christmas stories, your favorite cookies, movies, stories, carols, whatever, to nightlight@civicmedia.us. We'll read them on Christmas Eve before we launch into a day and a half of Christmas music here at Civic Media. Got a fun show. Great to have you with me tonight. Rich Locascio is coming up, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back after your award-winning news team here at Civic Media. It helps to keep you informed. We're coming right back. This is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
And I'm telling you, it's too late to turn back now. I believe I'm falling in love. It's too late to turn back now. I believe I'm falling in love. I found myself phoning her at least 10 times a day.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. One of the biggest health stories over the last year or two has been the use of semaglutides for weight loss. Demand just keeps rising, and now Wisconsin will be helping to fill that demand. Here's Stuart J. Waddles.
Pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly has plans for a $3 billion expansion of its Pleasant Prairie facility. The drug maker is looking to boost production of diabetes and obesity medicines. The project will add 750 highly skilled jobs to the current workforce of over 100 employees. Construction is set to start next year with 2,000 workers hired to build the new addition. Governor Evers praised the project and the region. Between Eli Lilly and Microsoft, there's more than $6 billion of development going on in southeastern Wisconsin.
Former Ripon Area Fire District Chief Timothy Saul is charged with misusing a work-related credit card. The 57-year-old Saul was charged with 3 counts of fraudulent use of the Ripon Area Fire District credit card in the years between 2016 and 2022. Saul resigned his position at the end of 2022. He'll make his initial court appearance on December 23rd. 70% of the students attending Green Bay's East High School are considered economically disadvantaged and rely on free and reduced meals from the school district. Student Council Advisor Matthew Vandenhouten said this time of year is especially worrisome.
You know, we're coming up on a long break. The kids love of it because it's a long winter break, but that also means there's a lot of time where kids may not have, food because we don't have the free lunches, reduced breakfasts and things like that are not available to them right now.
To help, students are holding the Drive Up, Drop Off food drive for the Eats for East Pantry. They're looking for non-perishable food donations Wednesday and Thursday from 3:30 till 5:30 p.m. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Nominations for the Golden Globes were announced Monday, and Variety is reporting that in the film category, Amelia Perez leads the way with 10 nominations. The musical stars Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez and is being called a drug cartel musical. Intrigued? I am. The film is available on Netflix. Not too far behind with 7 nominations, including Best Picture, is The Brutalist, a brutally long 3.5-hour drama set in post-war Europe starring Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, and Guy Pearce, all 3 of whom are nominated for their acting chops. Focus Features Conclave pulled in 6 nominations, including for Best Picture and Best Screenplay, as well as acting nominations for cast members Ralph Fiennes and Isabella Rossellini. The Bear continues to dominate award shows on the little screen with 5 nominations. Only Murders in the Building and Shogun received 4 nominations each. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nite Lite with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight, some flurries and snow showers late through tomorrow afternoon, fluffing up to a dusting to an inch at most. Temps steady to slowly falling through the 20s tonight and tomorrow as the wind picks up, dropping wind chills below 0 as the sky clears. Much colder for Wednesday night and Thursday. Current temp is 30.
Oh, the holidays are here, and it's time to pick a present from the grown-up gift list with Civic Media's statewide Text to Win contest. Listen while you work for the keywords to text for your chance to win $100 cash, an overnight vacation at Chula Vista Resort, and be entered to win one of the grand prizes, a robot vacuum, new luggage, humidifier, espresso machine, and more on the grown-up gift list at civicmedia.us. Just download the Civic Media app and listen weekdays at 7, 11, 1, and 4 for your chance to win in the statewide contest. Ho, ho, ho!
The Todd Alba Show.
Pat Kreitlow, all your time in the media, television, radio, what have you, what was one or two of the oddest things that people were complaining about?
As a TV anchor, your hair.
You have some of the finest hair around. How could anybody criticize your hair?
Oh, well, because a consultant forced me to change it.
Were there focus groups?
I'm not aware of any focus groups other than the audience, which universally hated it. It was a bowl haircut.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
On Wednesday's show, we'll visit with Michael Friedman from Simple Life Hospitality. He'll give us a preview of our live broadcast on Thursday morning.
Plus, my trainer, Elena Parman from Western Rack.
I get so lost sometimes.
Welcome back. Eric from Lodi says, I am not organized enough to send Christmas cards out. That's really what it comes down to, too. I can't keep track of addresses. I'm better at it now. I could probably do a better job now. But like I said, my kids are grown. I don't think my wife would be thrilled about sending out Christmas cards. Maybe she would, but then it would just be me sending a picture of me. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm with you, Eric. Todd from Oshkosh says, Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose, great freaking tune, Conrad. Agreed, Todd. Check out, Todd, if you want to see a great use of that song, the film Spike Lee movie Black Klansman used it in their soundtrack. And there's a great scene where people are dancing to that song. It's really cool. Check that out. And I agree. Great tune, Conrad. Conrad mixes it up wonderfully. We are just moments away from Rich Locascio joining us. And I want to say something. This once in a while, I look at Instagram. I'm not real active on Instagram, but I do go there and I watch reels. Typically, I watch funny reels. I like to watch shuffle dancing, maybe a knockout here and there. Although it's tough to watch the UFC anymore. But, you know, I go there sometimes. And what drives me crazy, and I've talked about this on the show before, are the couples. The cute married couples, the young couples, The wife thinks she's real cute. The husband wants to show her off, and the husband's just acting like a dim bulb or a numbskull and doing something stupid while he parades his wife around in hardly anything. And that's bad enough just because it's not funny. I don't care what you wear, but it's got to be funny. Make it funny. And if it's not funny, don't try to shoehorn humor into it by hashtagging it as funny. If you have to put hashtag funny under what you post, kind of defeats the purpose. I'll tell you if it's funny. You don't need to tell me if your little skit in your kitchen is funny. Couples humor, that's another one. I have not found a funny couple yet. Have you, Conrad?
You know what? I'll say this. The hashtags, there's many reasons for it. They just want to fit the algorithm. They put the hashtag funny. It could get to the top of the list for hashtag funny.
But it's not.
I get what you mean, though. Because
Just
usually,
put hashtag put me to the top of the list then, not hashtag funny.
It's ironic just because how it's
I know. It's awful.
never funny.
It's never funny. It's embarrassing. And I watch it out of embarrassment, which probably helps them because it gives them clicks. Craig Kinnett on the stream says, Pete, doing a family picture with just me is brilliant. I laughed out loud and hope to make a few. I hope to get one, Craig. You're welcome. Jeremy Thompson, I think that's the guy behind the guy. I think that's JB. Just says Pete Schwaba, exclamation point. That's what he would say when he gets my Christmas card of just me. But I sign it from Pete, Mary, and the kids. Keep those texts and comments coming. Let us know if you send out Christmas cards or if it's a thing of the past or your process. We're happy to have it. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is exciting. Our friend Rich Locascio is about to join the show. He's been on the show many times before. He's a really fun guy to talk to. He might be even at the station at WRJN right now. I don't know. We have a really cool news station in Racine, and that's where Rich works out of. He is also a wrestling announcer, and we have a new nickname for him. Rich, how are you?
Pete, how are you?
It's
been a while.
good. Listen, first of all, I know I threw Conrad under the bus for telling me I thought it was Locascio, and I don't throw Conrad under the bus very often. I usually take the blame. Right, Conrad?
Brother, if I told you how many times somebody mispronounced my last name, I'd probably be a millionaire if I had $1 for every time that happened.
Listen,
so,
dude, you're talking to a guy named Schwaba, so I totally get it. I have to always correct people. I feel your pain. How are you, buddy?
All good. I'm doing good, man. It's it's that time of the year where the weather's getting a little bit colder, and unfortunately, sickness comes in and it comes out, and then it comes back in and it comes back out. So I'm kind of dealing with one of those doldrums right now, but I still feel energetic. I still feel alive, and I am thrilled to be on your show once again, my friend.
It's great to have you, and I don't know what kind of illness comes back in after it goes out. I've had the go out part, but I'm curious as to how you get it back in. But whatever you're dealing with.
Usually when I get sick, Pete, it affects my voice, which is the worst thing for somebody who's in sales, who's a ring announcer, who does a lot of stuff vocally. It's depressing, to be honest with you.
I bet it is. Hey, so before we get to the wrestling, tell us what's new at WRJN. The studio there looks beautiful, and you got Don Rose in there. You got Don Moreau working out of there. Such a fun group of people. But what's going on there? How are things going?
Things are bustling right now. I love it, and I see so many people on a daily basis. I see Earl Ingram. I see Jane Matinaire. I see Greg Bach. I see Maggie Dawn. I see Dom Salvia. I know I'm not. It sounds like I'm just name dropping people, but they're all out of the WRJN studios in Racine now, and
they're all there doing. All of them are doing the show out of there now.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we have sales support out of there. We got producers out of there, Cardi and Jess. And there's a lot of other people. Calvin's out of there now. It's remarkable how much the station has grown. The studio that we have dedicated to the talk personalities like Earl and Jane and Maggie and Dom, like they completely revamped that studio. It looks amazing now. It's a night and day difference.
Pictures are beautiful. You have some kind of cool news. You have a birthday coming up, and how are you planning on celebrating your 40th?
So my 40th is coming up next Friday, the 20th. So from 9 to 2, I will be co-hosting on WRJN. So I'll be bringing the local news, timeless hits, and the Christmas classics that day from 9 to 2.
How do you feel about that, Rich? You've been on the air before? You're a ring announcer. Is it like riding a bike, or how do you handle that?
The soundboard, I've worked on the soundboard once doing a high school football game, and it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. It's like, okay, we need somebody to fill in for the high school football game this week. And Chris comes up to me. He's like, are you busy Friday night? I'm like, why? What's going on? He's like, I need somebody to work the soundboard. I'm like, I can make myself available. That's fine. So it was a bit of a crash course in learning the soundboard, and with, it went okay. It wasn't the worst thing. It went okay. So I'll probably get a re-education on that next week before I go live Friday morning at 9 a.m.
Don't you hate that question? Are you busy on such and such date? Hey, are you available on the 3rd? Please tell me what you want before you. I mean, that's such a trap, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when I have my birthday at this stage of the year, where it's like, okay, are you busy on the 20th? Like, oh, well, I've already got plans. And it's like, when I've had birthday parties in years past, I've always scheduled it at the beginning of the month because people are more available toward the beginning of the month rather than toward the end of the month, because by the middle of the month, they're just jam-packed. They're like, I've got this plan, I got this plan, I got this plan, and don't bother me until January.
I feel like it's a trap when people say, hey, are you available on the 3rd? And you say no. It's like going to be, oh, crap, I had the opportunity of a lifetime for you. Or, yeah, I'm available. Oh, here's the worst job you'll ever have. So it's like, and if it's a work thing, you can't let people down. So
no,
I don't know.
Oh, absolutely not.
Well, that's exciting. So you're turning the big 4-0?
Yes, that's right.
All right. And is the wrestling ring announcing, as a ring announcer, do you have a prime, Rich? Are you approaching it voice-wise, or how does that work?
That's a good question. I think about that, and it's like I did a show, Black Friday, as a matter of fact, in Milwaukee for Legacy Pro Wrestling. It was the Black Friday Brawl. And the great thing about the show, it was unpredictable, especially the end of it, because they had a 28-person over-the-top battle royal. The ring filled up, and people are just coming in left and right every 45 seconds. And it was everything that you could expect it to be and more.
That sounds kind of cool. So
yes.
So you rang announced for that? You ring announced for that? You rung announced? I don't know what the heck I'm saying here.
No, I wouldn't be wrong. I was the ring announcer for that for that show.
What was the coolest name you had to announce?
Purple Rain Kane.
Oh, that's kind of a good name. That sounds really cool, actually. I think I've asked you this before. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
No, I was going to say there was a wrestler in the WWE whose name is Kane. And when he first debuted back in 1997, he came out with this black and red, really over the top. When I say over the top, like very gothic, but he also had a black and red mask on. Had no personality, just came out and just, did his thing, destroyed whatever was in the ring, and left. So The purpose of Purple Rain Kane was he came out in a black and purple mask, black and purple attire, and he chokeslammed everybody because that's what Kane's finishing move was. But he'd do a little bit of dancing in between each chokeslam.
I would hope. Well, how do you chokeslam someone, Rich? How does a chokeslam happen?
So basically, you put your hand against the neck of your opponent, and you lift him up, and then you just drop him on the mat.
That sounds horrible.
It is.
That sounds like a recipe for a serious injury.
I mean, this is why I don't get in the ring except for ring announcing. I don't compete. I've been asked not to, so I'm going to stay in my lane and stick with what I'm good at.
So let's say if one of these guys, I know a lot of people say, oh, wrestling, it's staged, it's whatever, it's choreographed. Let's say a guy like me gets in the ring. I'm not a little guy, Rich, and I'm not trying to, I can take care of myself, but would I get pummeled? Tell me what would happen if a guy like me decided to square off against a guy like Kane.
I give you 15 seconds.
Before
bell rings, 15 seconds, you're on the mat for the 1, 2, 3 count.
What do you think he would come at me with, just in case?
Probably just the choke slam. So here's an interesting fact. Drew Carey, of all people, went up against Kane in the 2001 Royal Rumble. And as you can imagine, Drew Carey wanted no part of Kane. So he actually eliminated himself from the Royal Rumble by climbing over the top rope and jumping off the apron onto the floor.
Like outside the ring?
Yes, because basically with an over-the-top battle royal or a Royal Rumble, you have to go over the top rope, and both feet have to hit the floor on the mat on the outside.
For what? To officially
for you to be eliminated from the match.
God, that sounds worse almost than getting pinned. Okay, and Drew Carey's not a little guy either, but you don't want to. That's pretty bad when you risk injury not to get injured. You know what I mean? Like at some point, you might as well fight, and if you get pinned, you get pinned. But it's worse than like trying to get yourself in a headlock.
Yeah, I mean, there's that fight or flight instinct that kicks in. It's like, okay, if you see somebody 7 foot tall like Kane, it's like, yeah, I better get out of here.
Oh, he's 7 feet tall?
Yeah, he's a pretty tall guy. He was about 6'10", if I remember, almost 7 foot tall.
He could probably take me. Well, anyway, have you wrestled, Rich?
No.
Did we cover this before? Okay.
Again, I stay in my lane, Pete.
Yeah. You got the pipes. Use them appropriately.
Right.
All right. So you said earlier it's kind of a light time right now for wrestling. So we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, you're going to tell us about the next cool thing wrestling fans have to look forward to. It's coming up right around the corner, and then we'll talk to Rich Locascio a little about the holidays. And I have a new nickname, Rich. I want to run that by you too. Are you game for that?
You got it.
All right. Fantastic. This is Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Schwabadan to Alloway. This is 97.9 WGBW. The Maggie Dawn Show.
We know what happened the last time Trump applied this ham-fisted tariff policy. He had to write a $12 billion check to farmers because he crushed so many of our agricultural exports. It drove up the cost of single-family homes because the cost of lumber from places like Canada went way the frick up. Everything got more expensive.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
From the Lake Shore to Lake Winnebago.
Door to Fond du Lac counties.
Northeast Wisconsin is special for many different reasons. I'm Lisa Hale.
And I'm Terry Barr. Family and fun.
Safe communities and friends. We're featuring all of it as part of New Wisco Weekend, a news magazine show just for you, and highlighting what makes the Fox Valley and Green Bay area a great place to live.
Join us.
New Wisco Weekend, Saturday mornings at 8, Sundays at 11 on WGBW and WISS and the Civic Media app.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It's easy to listen to your favorite local radio station anytime. Download the Civic Media app from the Apple or Google Play Store, then listen live or whenever you want from anywhere for free.
That first time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop.
Welcome back to Nite Lite. We are one of our favorites is on the phone right now, Rich Locascio. He is a wrestling ring announcer, and he is an on-air personality and does sales here at Civic Media down at WRJN in Racine. Rich, so we got a couple suggestions on the text line. Eric from Lodi says, wrestling name, Not in the Schwaba.
Not in the Schwaba. I mean, I kind of need an explanation on that one.
Yeah, I kind of thought that at first, but then, I don't know. Not in the Schwaba, like this is my house, maybe? The ring? Let's simmer on that one. Here's another one. Steady Eddie. Listen to this one, Rich. He says, Pete, I think you may have a future as a professional wrestler. He obviously doesn't know me that well. I think you should stick with the Schwabinator. You would speak in an Arnold Schwarzenegger Austrian accent. I am properly pumped up. And he says, I should say, I am the properly pumped up Schwabinator, and I'm here to pound you down. He continues, when you defeated your opponent and left him in a pile of pain, you would flex your muscles and yell out to your fans, Schwabadabadoo. You would then hold your hand to your ear, and your fans would respond, Schwabadabadoo. Signed, Steady Eddie. Any potential there, Rich?
I mean, I don't know anything about parody law, but that sounds interesting. And I say parody law because it's like, I'm sure Mr. Schwarzenegger might be giving some people a call.
You think so? Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
All right. We'll stick with Schwabinator for now. Schwabadabadoo isn't bad. I don't know.
That isn't bad. No, you might, if I were you, that's something you could put on a T-shirt.
I agree. Or Schwabtastic. I don't know. We got to work on this.
All
right. So you got there's a big wrestling event coming up next year, early next year, right after the holidays. Tell us about that.
So actually, before we get to that, this time of the year is usually pretty calm for WWE. They do have their next event, which is coming up this Saturday night. As you can imagine, it's called Saturday Night's Main Event. It's something that used to air on NBC back in the late 80s, going into the 90s. And this is more of like an old school tribute show. It's going to take place at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum on Long Island. And it's going to be aired on NBC and Peacock. And I was really surprised when they announced that Jesse the Body Ventura would be doing color commentary for the show.
Oh, wow. He's still around.
So this is really a throwback.
That's, yeah. Well, I forgot about him. He wrestled before he was a governor. And then.
Yeah.
He did the movie Predator with, speaking of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
How old
Predator,
is that guy?
and then he did cameos for a lot of other different movies.
He's got to be in his 80s?
He's 73.
73. Okay.
Yeah.
Conrad on the spot. Nice. All right. Well, that sounds fun. Have you met, who's been, like, the guys you've met in your ring announcing time, who have you liked the most in person?
Now, are we talking about people that I've worked with on shows? Or are we talking about people that I've met just for a signing or, an in-person, a photo op? Which specifically?
Whatever whatever. All of those included. Like, I'm just wondering who has been the coolest, like in terms of being down to earth or just a good dude or dudette when it comes to wrestling.
Sure. I'll give you two. So the first would be somebody that I've worked with. The first show I ever did was a charity show in West Bend, and they brought in two former WWE superstars, Eugene and PCO, who currently still wrestles in TNA Wrestling. So the show was fun. As you can understand, I was a little bit nervous and everything, but after the show, PCO made it a point to come up to me and said, he asked me, he's like, this is the first time that you've ever done this? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you made everybody look like stars tonight. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, that's all the vindication that I needed right there.
Absolutely.
So the second person, I met him a little bit less than 6 months ago. I met Hulk Hogan at a Quick Trip of all places.
It was a chance encounter, I assume.
What's that?
It was a chance encounter, I assume. You didn't plan to meet him there.
No, I did plan to meet him. So he was doing
chicken sandwiches.
A promotional tour for his beer, and they announced some locations and some dates and times. So I'm like, all right, if you ever get the chance to meet Hulk Hogan, you got to meet Hulk Hogan, especially if you're a wrestling fan. So I went up there, stood in line for about an hour, met him. He signed 2 cases of his beer, and then I was on my way.
How was the beer?
I haven't tried the beer. It's still been sitting in the cases.
Are you saving it like on purpose or for a reason, or you just haven't gotten to it yet? Oh, okay.
I mean, wrestling fans are, we're an odd bunch sometimes. It's like, I'm just being straight with you, Pete. We collect things. Like I have bins of stuff that I've collected from shows that I've worked, and I've gotten stuff from different shows. It's been so much fun, just the whole experience.
That's so cool, Rich. I honestly, God, I'm laughing, but I'm laughing at you have such a great attitude about it and your passion. It's just so much fun to talk to you about this. Probably in part because I don't know a lot about wrestling. So I love talking to you for that reason, and you have so much fun with it. Next time you come on, we didn't get to this, but I want to talk about Iron Claw a little bit. So let's do this again soon, okay?
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
Fantastic.
Pete. Thank you so much.
Hey, happy pre-birthday. Have a great time on the air, and party safely, buddy.
Hey, I appreciate you, Pete. Thank you. Pete Conrad, you're the best.
All right, you too. Back at you. That's Rich Locascio. About to turn 40, Conrad. Probably sounds like it's a long way away.
To me.
Look at you, young buck sitting there. I remember when I was your age.
Do you?
Oh. There's a wrestling nickname. Pete, what's his last name? How much time do we have? Can I read a text?
30 seconds.
All right. Jeremy, this is JB. He says, I did take a selfie and frame it in a Norman Rockwell frame and took a photo of that and mailed out copies to my family with a hearty Merry Christmas. That's great. I feel like if I did that, people would call me and say, like, hey, man, are you okay? But I hope it worked out for you, Jeremy. All right. We have Swedish jazz queen Gunhild Carling. Coming up next, this is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Home of Mino and the Mayor.
Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, public service announcement with Dr. Laura Hanks. If you ever have a question for the doctor, just email it to janesays@civicmedia.us. We'll see you then.
Matnair on air, weekday mornings at 10. The Dom Salvia Show.
Harvey K., Professor Emeritus of Democracy. We're talking about the Act 10 overturned by a Dane County judge.
I think it's important for everyone to know that this was the state that in 1959 first granted public employees the right to organize and bargain collectively. We have a lot to take back. I used to say take back America. Well, I say take back Wisconsin.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app. This is 97.9 WGBW Denmark, Green Bay's real news and great conversation, a Civic Media radio station.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Are you going to be able to retire? One of the largest and most respected investment firms says too many are woefully unprepared.
Vanguard's most recent How America Saves report says the average customer balance was $134,000, but the median balance was just $35,000. For workers between 55 and 64, the average and median was $245,000 and $88,000. Roughly half in about that older age group have zero retirement savings, according to Census Bureau data. data. Experts say the solution is no secret. Work longer, save and invest more, and delay collecting Social Security.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson. Luigi Mangione still in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The accused assassin of the United Healthcare chief exec is fighting extradition to New York City. General Motors says it's getting out of robo-taxis and will stop funding its money-losing Cruise autonomous vehicle unit. This is ABC News.
Oh, hello, Michael. Santa here. I need special gift ideas for my list this year. Any suggestions?
Hey, Santa, how about a Simple Life Hospitality gift certificate? It's the perfect present, flexible, thoughtful, and truly unique.
No, there's something different.
Our gift certificates are perfect for birthdays, holidays, or just because, with multiple amounts to fit any budget. Share the joy of this season. Give a Simple Life Hospitality gift certificate. Visit simpleliferentals.com.
Ho, thank you, Michael.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan? For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at wipga.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane provider and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Millions of dollars are coming to Wisconsin schools to help improve youth mental health. Civic Media's Derek Tritz has the story.
The Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction was recently awarded a $10 million federal grant to improve youth mental health services. Specifically, this money will help with the staffing of school counselors, psychologists, and social workers by expanding the barrier for entry and delivery models of these services. The grant was awarded by the U.S. Department of Education through its 2024 School-Based Mental Health Professionals Grant Program and is set to last 5 years. The Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction was one of 22 grant recipients across the nation to receive funding through this grant.
The Internal Revenue Service is noticing an increase in bad tax advice being spread on social media. IRS spokesperson Christopher Miller says the scams dupe people into filing inaccurate tax returns, which can lead to delayed refunds, penalties and interest, and sometimes even criminal charges. Miller said you also need to be on the lookout for scams involving tax credits or cryptocurrencies. More tips and information can be found at irs.gov. Dane County dropped
It's the Bucks and the Magic tonight. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks host the Orlando Magic tonight at Fiserv Forum. Doc Rivers says with Chris Middleton back, the Bucks finally have some depth.
You know, with Chris eventually starting at some point, you know, you all have Gary and TP and AJ Green, and boy, we're finally going to say we have a bench.
College basketball. The Badgers in Champaign tonight to take on Illinois. The Badgers dropping from 11th to 20th in the AP Top 25 poll yesterday after losing last week to Michigan and Marquette. College football. Quarterback Tyler Van Dyke announcing he's leaving Wisconsin and entering the transfer portal. Baseball meetings continue in Dallas. Brewers general manager Matt Arnold asked if they'll move Bryce Terang or Joey Ortiz to play shortstop now that Willie Adames is signed with the Giants.
We have several alternatives there like Terang, Ortiz, etc. up the middle if needed, but Willie was, among the best shortstops in the history of our franchise.
That's Brewers GM Matt Arnold. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Lisa Hale with WGBW News. Your news roundup in quick podcast form. You can find it anywhere at the WGBW website, WGBW.FM.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight, some flurries and snow showers late through tomorrow afternoon, fluffing up to a dusting to an inch at most. Temps steady to slowly falling through the 20s tonight and tomorrow as the wind picks up, dropping wind chills below zero as the sky clears. Much colder for Wednesday night and Thursday. Current temp is 30.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Jeffrey from Madison.
I worked for the city of Madison for 34 years. Act 10 cost me $42,000.
Yep.
In 1977, the state of Wisconsin passed a law that says public employees cannot strike. With Act 10, now we can't bargain for working conditions and benefits, so they basically turned public employees into second-class citizens.
Yes.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. The Todd Alba Show.
Kash Patel, who Trump has nominated to be the head of the FBI, saying he wants to basically shut down the main parts of the FBI. Bill Barr, MAGA Republican Attorney General to Donald Trump. Quote, the very idea of moving Patel into a role like this showed a shocking detachment from reality, unquote. This is not the left calling out Patel. This is the right.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Todd Alba.
Hey, everybody, join us next time as Up North News radio host Pat Kreitlow and Trygve Olsen, Packer owner and senior advisor at Lincoln Project, is here.
Welcome back. You got Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba here. We are broadcasting statewide all over this beautiful state of Wisconsin from beautiful downtown Green Bay here at City Deck Landing. I'm very excited to welcome this next guest. This is her first time on Nite Lite, and she is performing here in Wisconsin. She's doing a tour all over, but she is going to be in Baraboo on Saturday night, and she is known as Sweden's Queen of Swing, and she's just great. It is my pleasure to welcome to Nite Lite jazz musician Gunhild Carling. Gunhild, how are you?
Good. I'm just playing.
You just playing?
Just sitting here and playing and warming up for my concert.
It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm excited that you're coming to this beautiful theater in Baraboo here in Wisconsin. We're a couple hours away from there, but it's a gorgeous theater. I've been watching your videos. You just are so much fun. Have you been?
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Have you been to Wisconsin before?
I have. I have been to Milwaukee, and I have also been to Baraboo, actually.
Oh, okay. So you know you know the drill. All right, that's very good.
Yes.
All right,
it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. So tell us. Okay. So I've just become familiar with you in the last few days. I love jazz. You're a jazz musician, but you also sing and dance. Can you tell listeners who might be interested in going to the show if they hear this interview but aren't really familiar with you in terms of what your show gives them, what will the show be like?
It's a very much energy, and I play classic jazz melodies, like, you can imagine from the Blueberry Hill and All of Me and this, and I also do some originals. I perform for the King of Sweden, and they asked me to compose a song. So this song called Hothead, I will perform, and I have composed a lot of songs. And I play a lot of instruments. So I mix classic jazz in Louis Armstrong-ish style, and then I play a lot of different instruments, and I also have brought my bagpipes, my recorder. Wow. I tap
nice.
tap dance. And I play trumpet, and I play trombone, and then I have a jazz band by my side. It's like my daughter plays trombone, saxophone, and piano bass drums.
Was your first instrument, did I read this correctly? You started with the trombone, and now you play how many instruments do you play?
In the show, I play 10 different instruments, including harmonica and recorder, piano, bass, harp, trumpet. But I think, I play so many medieval and Renaissance instruments. We don't even know the names of those instruments. So I count to maybe 20.
Wow, that's really impressive. All right, so you have this, you're anchored in jazz, I would say, but what I've been reading about you is that you do a lot of pop hits with a jazz arrangement. Can you talk about that a little bit? That sounds really fun.
Yeah, so actually I have done some pop songs. It was mainly disco and rock. I made it into trad jazz 1920s style. So I played I did this and Never Gonna Give You Up. And I did, Happy, Pharrell Williams. And I do it as a cabaret act where I change instrument every 10 bars. So I like melodies. I like songs. So it's a very good thing to to just take a popular melody and do something about it.
Do people go crazy when you play Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley?
Mainly, I think my number one hit is ABBA's Dancing Queen.
Oh, I can see
That has been a really big hit, yeah.
And they're from Sweden, too. That
For
must
some
be
reason.
excited. Have you ever met them?
Exactly. No, not really. I have met, like, in the surrounding of them, like, people around them, but I never met the real ABBA, the four of them. No, not together. But I'm friend of one of the families and so one of them I know.
Okay, so personally, I fell in love with jazz about 20 years ago. I didn't know much about it before then. When did you appreciate jazz in your life? Like, it sounds like you've been playing music your whole life. When did you fall in love with jazz, and what inspired you to kind of follow that course in your career?
So it has been the big stars that has inspired me from my since forever, since I was a child. And it was Armstrong, Ellington, Billie Holiday, Count Basie, also Benny Goodman and all this big band stuff, Chicago stuff.
Yeah.
And I like, that is what has been inspiring me. And I like the style and the sounds and so.
How old were you when you first discovered jazz? Very young, or kind of after you'd been playing some instruments for a while?
Yeah, I think I was 10 or something.
Okay. That's great.
So I was listening.
That's
my
excellent.
whole teenage. When I was teenager, I was listening a lot to jazz, a lot to Billie Holiday actually.
Oh, Billie Holiday's great. That's kind of young, don't you think? I mean, I don't, maybe not in Sweden, but here, I don't think young people really appreciate jazz until they get older, if ever, for that matter.
No, maybe today, we don't know because internet is so full of different kind of music. But I think like most people, they start with rock. And for example, they like this Led Zeppelin and so on. And then they go over to Django Reinhardt. And after that, they discover like blues. So it's a very different way today how people find jazz.
Yeah, for sure.
But for me, I like the old classic jazz.
Yeah, same here. So you're playing the beautiful Al Ringling Theater in Baraboo. It's December 14th. My guest is Gunhild Carling. She's a jazz musician. She is the Sweden's queen of swing, really, which is exciting to have her here on Nite Lite. Do you also sing, you dance, you're very high energy. How long does the show go typically?
It's 90 minutes show.
Wow.
And I'm tap dancing and it's a lot of, I want it to be a feel-good show. So it's a lot of humor, and then I play a song, and then I say something, and the whole band, it's very energetic. And also the songs, the wonderful songs, the wonderful melodies.
I'm very impressed by that, like what you just said, because it seems it's so rare now that most entertainers, they're not all like people like yourself or the crooners back in the day, like the Rat Pack and people like that. They could tell jokes, they danced, they sang. Why don't more people still do what you do?
I think like I have heard very many times that you should do one thing and do only one thing. And do it good and shut up. Okay, so that is how. Be good at what you are and don't do only one thing. Yeah. But it's more old-fashioned 19th century that you do 10 different stuff and you mix them together to your personality. I mean, it's old. I think it's very old-fashioned.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. And it sounds like it's going to be a really fun show. I was reading about you before. It said you grew up with a musical family, and now your kids are very musical. You just mentioned your daughter before. She's found the trombone. How important is music to society, but also in the home with a family? I mean, what does it do, and how does it enhance your family?
So music is very important because for some reason, and I'm very kind, and my husband, we are like not authority people. We are like very like kind, but my first and best communication with my kids was through music because they didn't listen to what I say. They do what I do. So when I play, they want to play with me together. And it's very important to play together because it's a way, it's a take on how to communicate and how to interact with other people. So playing is perfect.
I agree. And it's nice. I mean, I always had music on when my kids, like Saturday mornings, I'd put on like iHeart or whatever, some jazz music or older music. And I think it's just a nice soundtrack for your life, right? Like some nice background music and can enhance your mood, make you get along better. I completely agree with you. That was a great answer.
Yeah, jazz is fantastic because it's popular music, but it's still so old that it's like you can notate it. It has arrangements and like, you know, European old classical music has, you read notes and you sit and play at home and everyone plays violin, but you can actually do that with jazz as well. But now we have Jelly Roll Morton and King Oliver because those arrangements are so diverse and so like artistically made and on both high and a low level, like Mozart. It's like easy to understand and listen, but it's like there is a complexity as well.
Yeah.
But for me, it's, because I'm a woman, I want to be with my kids and so, and I'm a mom. But there are very few places that accept minors because I play on clubs and bars.
Right.
So playing at home is very important because that is actually a place where you can play with your minors, and I have been live streaming and so that has been very important.
That's great. Do you tailor your show to where you perform? Like when you're performing overseas or when you're here in America, do you do the same show or do you add or take things out based on who the audience is?
No, because everything I do is so not trendy at all, so it doesn't matter. I can tell you my last show was the day after Thanksgiving, and my whole band, and it was like a star band from New York, they was stuck in traffic, so I have to stand alone in front of hundreds of people and do a show completely of my own. I was taking song requests, and I had my Blues Brothers moment. And I played trumpet, and then I played, Louis Armstrong, and the difference between Louis Armstrong and King Oliver. And I don't know if people really care, but, since I am so into this and so, nerdy around it, maybe they are interested. And then I went over to the trombone and talked about Jack Teagarden and everything, trombone players. And then I went over to medieval music contra Renaissance music and my recorder and how they played in the 15th century and so. And I was thinking, when are these guys coming? And then I did call and response with the audience, like Heidi, 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 ho, and the audience was. And now I was feeling I could not be closer to Cab Calloway than this. And there came the musicians and showed up, and we started to play the whole show.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Stay tuned for the rest of the interview.
Listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for the Todd Allball Show.
In the market for a home loan? It's time to meet Kristen Ambos, the top 1% of loan originators in the U.S. and the #1 female loan officer in Wisconsin for 2 years running. With over 20 years experience, Kristen and Point Mortgage Corporation are here to serve all of your lending needs, from conventional to FHA, USDA, and VA loans. Plus, with their rate match guarantee, if they can't beat your pre-approved rate, they'll pay you $500. Call Kristen Ambos today at 920-606-1156 and let her and Point Mortgage make your home ownership dreams come true.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Big news in Wisconsin this month, as much of the controversial anti-union Act 10 law was struck down in a ruling by Dane County Circuit Court Judge Jacob Frost. 2 takeaways on this. 1, the ruling gets at the heart of what has always made this law so brazenly political, by defining public safety employees differently from general public employees. That decision was pretty clearly made not based on across-the-board policy, but on which unions backed Scott Walker for governor in 2010. It would be fitting if that is what ultimately spells the end for this controversial law. Secondly, this case is headed to an appeal, which almost certainly will end up at the Wisconsin Supreme Court. While this case still might be decided by the court's current 4-3 liberal majority, it's a good reminder of just how important the upcoming race for state Supreme Court will be.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area and on our website at civicmedia.us.
Civic Media, Wisconsin's source for real news and great conversation, offers podcasts of all of our daily shows online and on demand. Simply go to civicmedia.us, click on daily shows, and choose the podcast that you want to download. Shows are updated daily, or you can save them and listen all at once. Our podcasts are sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. You are an organ donor, right? Talk to
All right, so here's a question for you. When you're not touring or playing your own music or recording your own music, what do you listen to?
I am listening to all kinds of music since I'm scrolling on the social media. So it's a lot of different kind of music. So it can be classical and it can be soft jazz. But what I want to listen to is jazz.
That's great.
Mainly only jazz.
If I were to sing something for you right now, would you critique it for me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know that. I'm not going to do it. I just wanted to know you were willing to critique me. Okay.
No, what does critique mean? Being negative or say like, no.
Give me some pointers. I don't usually sing on the show though. So
feedback. You mean feedback?
Yeah, feedback. There you go.
Yeah. If I can give constructive feedback, I would give. But the best feedback you can give is just go, do what you want. Do you?
Oh, that's great. Okay, so we have about 1 minute left, and I'm gonna end the interview. And this has been an absolute pleasure. When did you decide, you grew up with music, when did you decide, okay, I love music, I want to make my living at music, I want to go out and tour? When did that happen?
It was just a natural thing because, I play trumpet in Armstrong style and trombone in Jack Teagarden style, and I sing a little like Billie Holiday mix with like Doris Day. I'm not employable with those. And I play a little ukulele, and I can play 3,000 songs from the Great American Songbook. So, I have to set up my own show. It's the only thing I can come to think about.
Oh, that's so great.
And I paint also, but my paintings I sell them on my show.
That's so great. Well, listen, break a leg in Baraboo. It's December 14th. Gunhild Carling, this has been an absolute pleasure to meet you. Knock 'em dead, and have a great tour and safe travels.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I'm so excited.
All right.
So excited.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, we will be right back with more Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network. All right. That was Gunhild Carling. She was fun. Are you going to get tickets
a lot
to
of
go?
Fun.
Are you going to get tickets like you guys did? Your family bought tickets to Charo, right?
Yes,
when
but
Charo was on, she's playing the same theater down in Baraboo.
Yeah, the Al Ringling Theater. Historic.
That's right. Historic theater. It's supposed to be beautiful. And like Charo, she is multi-talented, dancing, singing, playing instruments. Those performers and entertainers aren't really around much anymore. So it sounds like a great show. All right, we're going to pivot here. So we covered wrestling. We covered pro wrestling. We covered jazz musicians from Sweden. And now we are going to turn to kind of a lost art. Book writing and reading, at least reading for me. Our old friend Brett Kissinger joins me now. He is a Wisconsin author based in Algoma who is quite prolific, and he joins us now here in the studio on Nite Lite. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's great to have you back here. So I say that, Brett, and I'm kind of saddened that I always say, and I've said this on the show, I plan to be a reader again. I was an English major. I used to read a lot, and now my brain is just gone from iPhones and TV and all that kind of stuff. Somehow I managed to, when I'm writing a screenplay, I stick with it and I can focus. But I have issues reading when I try to read books, that I just can't stay focused. What do you make of that as a writer? And does that depress you that I just said that?
A little bit. It's understanding. I think it's the job of the writer to make sure that you can't put the book down.
Okay.
Some people like the audiobook. Some people like a Kindle. Some people like the actual physical book.
Okay.
I think it's also the time of day you're reading, probably. If you're trying to read late at night, it's a good way to fall asleep.
That is absolutely true. Yeah. I end up reading like the same sentence 9 times. But I do that with TV too. I'll watch a scene, I'll fall asleep, I'll wake up, I'll rewind it, and I'll go through that whole dance for 10 minutes, before I finally pack it in. I assume that you're a reader as well. I mean, most writers seem to get a lot of inspiration from other writers to find techniques or even a storyline maybe that you can not steal, but take something from and kind of make it your own. How many books a year do you say you read?
Probably 50 to 60.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's why I asked that, because writing is time consuming. It's like I always I don't know. It seems like acting is easier. Directing is easier. Writing is what is so tedious. And it's like a math equation. When you have a script or a book, everything has to make sense. And it's so time consuming. Reading is time consuming. Pardon me. So the fact that you're a prolific reader and writer, I don't know when you sleep, but that's impressive.
Yeah. I definitely do read a lot, and I don't read in my genre of historical fiction.
Okay.
Only because I don't want to emulate anybody I read.
That makes sense.
So
yeah.
I do like to read outside my genre. I read a lot of biographies.
Okay.
I like drawing inspiration from real life, because fact is generally more fascinating than fiction most often.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's fun that you say that, because I think you said that last time you were on, that you like biographies, and that's where you get ideas from characters.
Yep.
And that's great. Leon Uris is one of my favorite writers back when I used to read. Where do you rank him in the historical fiction category?
I actually haven't read him.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
you'll have to check out Trinity.
Okay.
And then let's have a discussion about that book, because there are times in that book where I just literally almost lost it in tears reading a book. Like he's that good of a writer at times. Do you have? We have to do a break soon. Then I want to go full steam into your book. How do you write? Do you write every day at the same time, or do you write when the mood catches you? What's your process?
I definitely try to be disciplined, so I write at the same time every day,
Okay.
usually at night from probably 5 o'clock to 8. That's kind of my window during the week.
5 to 8,
anything
interesting.
during the weekend is kind of a bonus, but I definitely try to stick to like a regiment because I feel like if you take the easy way out, or if you fall privy to like a mistake, or like I'm going to watch Netflix tonight, like that just becomes a habit. So like,
Right.
my habit's going to be, I'm just going to work. So
Procrastinating it's kind of like the snowball effect sometimes, right? It just gets easier to do the more you do it. And I find that, I don't know if you find this, but when you sit down to write, even when you're not in the mood, you tend to come up with something, and you end up being happy you sat down to write. Is that true with you?
yeah, definitely. If you stare at that blank cursor, it just becomes like this ominous, undefeatable thing. So I just keep writing, and even if it's crap, there's going to be some little specks of diamond in there that you can
Make that
mine out.
cursor your muse, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what you do. All right, Brett Kissinger is here. When we come back, we're going to talk about his book, The Surviving Remnant. He even has a trailer for it. I don't even know how you did that, but I'll ask you about that too. We've got Civic Media award-winning news headed your way right now, and we'll have more with Northeast Wisconsin writer Brett Kissinger on Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba.
We're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Matt and Air on Air.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The Trump White House isn't getting help from the Badger State when it comes to one big issue. Stuart J. Waddles has more.
Governor Evers says he will not send National Guard troops to help with the deportations. During a press conference in Madison, Evers expressed his opposition to President-elect Trump's immigration plans. He assured reporters that the Wisconsin National Guard would not be involved in any deportation efforts. Instead, Evers emphasized the need for Congress to address immigration reform.
A proposal could alter the high school football postseason in Wisconsin. With more, here's Civic Media's sports director, Jimmy Kuska.
Wisconsin high school football coaches are proposing a drastic reform in how teams qualify for the playoffs. That comes just days after the WIAA admitted it made a mistake in setting this year's playoff field. Two schools, Madison West and Greenfield, were left out of the postseason after the WIAA incorrectly applied a tiebreaker. WIAA executive staff met in person with members of both schools to apologize. Now, the state's Football Coaches Association is proposing a whole new system for playoff qualification, citing a lack of transparency in the WIAA's computerized seeding and selection process. The WFCA laid out its plan publicly on December 4th. Coaches will review the plan before voting on whether to forward it to the WIAA on December 13th. If the plan passes a coaches advisory committee, it could be up for a vote on adoption as soon as February at the WIAA's Board of Control meeting and be implemented in time for the 2025 high school football season. You can see the plan and learn more about it on our website. For Civic Media News, I'm Jimmy Kuska.
You can learn more about the plan and see how it would have changed this year's playoff field by visiting wifca.org. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.fm.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Home Alone is at the top of many people's viewing list every holiday season. According to an Instagram poll conducted by the website Puberty, Home Alone was voted the greatest Christmas movie of all time. The film garnered 446,000 votes to take first place ahead of The Nightmare Before Christmas, which came in second. If you want to be entertained, read the comments on the Instagram poll where people argue about Christmas movies, and not exactly with holiday cheer. Other runner-ups included The Santa Claus, Christmas Vacation, Elf, and It's a Wonderful Life. You want to talk about range as an actor? Who could play Bruce Springsteen, a wrestler in Iron Claw, and the son of Jabba the Hutt? The answer is Jeremy Allen White. White has just signed on to play Jabba the Hutt's son in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Variety reports that White will provide the voice for the role and that this is the Emmy-winning actor's first role in a major movie franchise. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nite Lite with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight, some flurries and snow showers late through tomorrow afternoon, fluffing up to a dusting to an inch at most. Temps steady to slowly falling through the 20s tonight and tomorrow as the wind picks up, dropping wind chills below zero as the sky clears. Much colder for Wednesday night and Thursday. Current temp is 30.
Hey, it's John Mino and Jim Schmidt from Mino and the Mayor. Want to stay in the loop with all things Northeast Wisconsin? Sign up for the WGBW weekly newsletter.
Get the latest local stories, updates on the weather, and a special feature from our Mino and the Mayor podcast.
It's your one-stop shop for real news and great conversations in Northeast Wisconsin.
Log on to WGBW.fm today and get signed up.
Real news, great conversations. Sign up today at WGBW.fm/newsletter.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The next New Wisco weekend is going to the dogs and the cats and all things animals. I'm Lisa Hale.
I'm Terry Barr from Rescues to Why Pets Are Good For You.
Agents here with Brett Kissinger. He is a writer based in Algoma, Wisconsin, who just published a book, another book, I should say, very prolific. Brett, it's funny, we were talking about agents, and I think it's like I haven't had an agent in a few years, and I thought you were going to say the agent said they'll represent me, if you have a lot of money and followers and that kind of, because that's what it's all about right now, right? So how do you get your all right? Your book is The Surviving Remnant. Tell us about that. Then we'll continue our discussion about getting an agent and getting your book out there, because it's a challenge.
It is. So The Surviving Remnant is the story of Jacob Majeski, who is a Holocaust survivor. So the book takes place in 2 time periods: during the concentration camps and then in the 60s after he's made it out. And it was really a heartbreaking term to come across, the surviving remnant. It's what the Jewish people refer to the survivors of the Holocaust, which is just horrifying and tragic. And doing research, everything kind of ends in 1945, right? The war ended, we celebrate in Times Square. But for the Jewish people, they were kind of left to fend for themselves. They opened what were called displaced person camps, and a lot of these were housed in concentration camps that were repurposed. So if you lost your family, you had to sleep in the same barracks years later that you lost your family in. And tragically, a lot of countries did not accept Jewish people. So there was millions of people that had no home. German Jews did not want to return to Germany, rightfully so. I mean, that was the country that, eliminated them horrifically.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it wasn't until 1949 that the United States started accepting Jewish people. But there was a caveat. They maxed it at 200,000 people, and 90% of Jewish people were disqualified because they came from Eastern countries in Europe, where the United States was concerned that they might have communist sympathies. So that's the start of the Cold War. So there were so many rules in place for these survivors to even come to America. You had to have somebody sponsor you up to a year. So if you had family, you could reach out to them. But in a lot of cases, when you came to America, you changed the spelling of your name. So even if you knew you had a cousin, your last name is Majeski, it's spelled differently in America, just trying to find these people. And the most heartbreaking stat that I came across reading was that there was 47 million pieces of paper people had scribbled names on looking for loved ones that they were trying to sift through in the 40s with no computers, nothing, just these handwritten notes. They tried to create phonetic spelling so you could kind of cover the spectrum of spelling of last names. But 47 million pieces of paper that they were trying to find answers to.
So Jacob tracks people to South America, which is where a lot of Jewish people ended up, right?
A lot of Nazis.
Or a lot of Nazis, I'm sorry. And he's tracking the people that, basically mistreated Jews, killed Jews. So where does that, how much research went into this story? I mean, the stuff you're saying, just to learn the facts you're learning and about the history, you kind of have to educate yourself about an entire chapter of world history before you can even write page 1, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge undertaking. But you owe a responsibility to history to get it right.
Of course.
Especially to the Jewish people. And what really struck me as like the theme of the book, I think any good film, book, it asks a question of the reader. And my question is, what debt do we owe the dead? So in Jacob's case, he lost his family. Would his family want him to get revenge, or would they want him to truly live and live in a way that he embraces, having children, just living freely and letting go of that burden? And I thought that was a really good question of how do you let go of something like that?
Okay, that's fair. And the story is he goes to seek revenge, but he meets a girl, right? And just what you said, is the best revenge living well or paying homage to your family who were killed? Do you live well or do you seek revenge? I don't want you to do a spoiler thing. I want people to read the book, but how do you as an author give your readers satisfaction? Because, as we sit here and talk, I'm thinking, get revenge, kill them all. But that's kind of a happy ending, but him learning how to trust people and be human again and get rid of the scars, I mean, that's a victory too. So how do you figure out as an author what you're going to do? Do you try to make people happy? Do you write how you want to see it end? How does that work?
Really, I mean, I like to say you're a writer, so sometimes you think you have an idea and you start writing it and your characters have a different idea where it's going. And I think the best thing is, as a writer, is when you get to a certain point and you're like, I don't know which way to go here. You know, like I could go one of two ways. It is tricky, but ultimately I think you just have to trust the character to make the decision. I mean, that kind of sounds cliche, but really, I really enjoyed writing Jacob's journey as like a broken man. He lost his faith, and just as, you know, throughout the novel, just becoming a better version of himself that he thinks his family would be proud of.
Okay. That's a good answer. So where can people find the book, and how many pages is it?
I believe it's 387.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Yeah, check out my website, brettkissinger.com. I've got book trailers that you can watch for all 5 of my books.
Let's talk about the trailer. I told you during the break, I'm on tons of different web pages every day, and I saw this trailer, and I'm like, oh, this looks cool. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I was on Brett's site, and I was. You have a trailer with visuals and music and actors for a book. How did you do that? And you've got these people, these incredibly good-looking people that look like actors. Is that AI? How did you do that?
It is AI.
Wow.
So it's a multi-step process. There's a website, Discord, where you can create an image off a prompt.
Okay.
You take that image, and then there's another website that can create motion to it. There's another website I use for the narration. So it's really editing. It's you know, writing the script, and it's a long process, but I definitely like the way they turned out.
It's like a movie trailer for a book, and I think it's great because it hooks people the way it would a movie, and sucks them in. And then you've got these great pictures too of South America, and boy, this must have taken a while to put together.
Yeah, it did, definitely.
So how long did it take you to write this? Let's say you start. I know last time you were on the show, you talked about this is what you were working on when you were talking about what was the other book? The
Winter Tiger and the War Eagle.
Winter Tiger and the War Eagle. So we'll talk about that next. But how long did this take to write?
I would say about a year. I started writing last December, and I released it last Friday, the 6th.
Wow. That's kind of fast, right?
Yeah.
To go from page 1 to completely finished.
Yeah.
And you said you have editors. How long is that process? And what does a typical editor come back at to you? Hey, you misspelled this word. Hey, this whole passage isn't working. You could lose chapter 12. What do they say to you?
Yeah, generally it's more along the lines of like grammar, but I do ask for feedback on plot, any areas that could be cut. But generally it's just making sure the commas are in the right spot, and you know, the word choice, any missing words, just
the your, there. We always miss those. Well, I know when to use them, but when you're writing fast.
Oh yeah.
And I find that when you're proofreading, you have to do it out loud. You have to read it out loud, or you won't catch it because your brain
fills in the gaps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all right. So when it comes to your material, you fall in love with your characters, you fall in love with your book and your story. It's like you're creating a world. It's kind of a godlike thing.
Yeah.
You create these people. This world did not exist before you sat down to write their story. Someone comes along and says, Brett, we'd like to make this into a movie. That can do great things, or it can be a train wreck. Where are you at with that? Are you at the point where, I don't know if you've ever had that done before, but would you be like, where do I sign? Or would there be some trepidation there?
I would definitely be ecstatic. I would have some trepidation because I've seen some bad
adaptations. Yeah.
But it also would probably depend on the network. Like I feel like HBO does fantastic stuff.
They do.
So I would be pretty stoked. But
yeah.
I mean, I would definitely be beside myself with excitement. Just to see what you have on the screen, because when I write, maybe you do the same thing. Do you create like the soundtrack for as you write? Like, do you envision certain scenes having music to it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes I listen to that when I write too.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to kind of get in that mindset. And it's like I would say over the last year, most of my energy has gone to this show, but there are times I miss sitting down and writing and just putting on your headphones and locking out the world. Yeah. It's great, Conrad, I think you should option Brett's book for $1. This is how everybody wins. You drop some papers. You say, Brett, here's $1. I want to option your book. You get to go tell people, I got this up and coming producer, Conrad Krieger, option my book. Conrad gets to say, I'm a producer. I've got a great piece of material. It's win-win.
Win-win.
All right. Well, I had a little more enthusiasm. I thought I'm excited more about this than you guys are. So how do you do this, Brett? Do you typically bounce ideas off people? Do you ever write with someone, or is it kind of just all in your own head?
It's all in my own head.
Okay.
You can get opinions from people, and that actually happened with my third book, the murder mystery. I was telling my friend Andrew about it, and then he made the mistake of telling his wife about it, and then I kind of got caught like, all right, now I got to write this. And I was happy I did it, but generally, writing is such a time-consuming process that you really need to be in it for yourself, selfishly as that sound, but like you need to be all in on the idea, not so much other people, because you're the one spending the nights, sitting behind the computer creating it. So it's really got to be something you're passionate about.
Do you ever, when you sit down to write, do you pour like a glass of whiskey? Do you ever have a cocktail and just put yourself in that? You don't write those kind of like murder mystery. Well, you kind of do. Yeah. Do you ever have a little outside influence through a glass?
No, not really.
Oh, wow.
That'll just make me sleepy.
Look at you, Mr. Hoity-toity. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul Schrader, the guy who wrote Taxi Driver, I went to hear him speak once at the Writers Guild, and he said, write drunk, edit sober.
That's a good one.
His theory was you come up with great stuff when you just let your brain go crazy. But I'm kind of with you. I've done it that way, and I'm like, yeah, this is really hard to remember even what I meant to write last night, so I can't get through it that way,
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about taking a crack at movies? Or
Yeah, I've written screenplays. That was my first love, and that's what I was trying to break into. A lot of comedies I was writing, and that's one thing I miss in book writing is the power of music and film.
Yeah,
because we were talking about writing with music, and there's a lot of times where you get that epic music or that romantic music, and you're like, oh, the scene is great. And then you're like, well, does this scene work without the John Williams soundtrack in the background?
Because you're not going to have that.
You're not going to have that. So I think, film has that emotional, like you can evoke so much emotion through music that
absolutely.
You kind of have to translate into words on the page, which is challenging. So I feel like in movies, you kind of have that insert epic Hans Zimmer score, and it's like, all right, you're safe. Like we could just have two guys staring across the room. It's going to work.
You could just do that for the whole film. Insert hilarious joke here.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. Do you want to buy it?
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, in my own experience, I fell in love with this piece of music that the editor put to something I had done. It was The Godfather of Green Bay, and it was this great song by this band called The American Wake, and they were in Orange County. And I contacted them and I said, I got to have this music in my film. And they said, well, we were covering that. It's this artist in Ireland. I had never heard of the guy. His name was like Pete St. Clair or Pete St. John or something like that. So several phone calls later, I finally got in touch with this guy who isn't a huge name. He's like kind of, somewhat known. He wanted $100,000 to use 3 minutes of the song in an independent film. I said, Pete, I go, this first, it's an honor to meet you, but the whole budget is less than $500,000. I can't. And he was like not wavering at all. He's like, all right, well, nice talking with you. I'm like, yeah, you too. And then I just felt like I wanted to swear at him.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, let me use your music, But it's expensive. You're right. You can't get married to big time music like that because you just won't have it if you make it. But we'll talk about that too. We'll pick it up right where we left off. Brett Kissinger is here. He is an Algoma, Wisconsin-based writer, and you can check out his new book, The Surviving Remnant, at brettkissinger.com. All the information you need is there, including a trailer, and it'll tell you how to purchase the book as well. It looks fantastic. We'll be right back with a few more minutes with Brett. After this, it's Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on the Civic Media Radio Network.
For only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW. The Todd Alba Show.
Pat Kreitlow, all your time in the media, television, radio, what have you, what was one or two of the oddest things that people were complaining about?
As a TV anchor, your hair.
You have some of the finest hair around. How could anybody criticize your hair?
Oh, well, because a consultant forced me to change it.
Were there focus groups?
I'm not aware of any focus groups other than the audience, which universally hated it. It was a bowl haircut.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Mino and the Mayor.
I'm going to admit something that I normally would not admit. A lot of times I don't wear underwear.
We got to go to a break.
I don't have a cart, and I'm carrying this stuff. Yeah. I got my finger in the loop, holding my pants up, because they would literally go down. And twice, people stopped me. Hey, John Mino, as I'm trying to hold my pants up and hold my stuff in my arms.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday mornings 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 WISS.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. You are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. And if you missed your favorite show or game, listen to a podcast.
Welcome back. Thank you all for being with me tonight. This has been fun. I'd like to thank my guest, Grunhild Carling, who is here. It was a pre-recorded interview. Conrad, great tap dance. By the way, the interview went a little too long. Conrad is a master editor, so we did it. It was like a little mini series.
Yeah.
And Rich Locascio, thank you to Rich for joining us. And we have a few more minutes now here with our other guest, Brett Kissinger, who lives in Algoma, a beautiful seaside town, lakeside town. Is that a good town to write in? Where do you write? First of all, do you write in a coffee shop, at home? Do you have an office? Where do you find inspiration when you're writing?
I write at home in a nice, comfy recliner chair.
Oh, really?
I do, yeah.
Aren't you worried that'll put you to sleep?
No, because, when you get in a groove,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, it's like caffeine, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. What are you working on next? What do you cover all these great topics, and you seem to love history. So what are you researching next, and what will the book be about, if you can tell us that?
So right now, I'm like 85% certain I want to write about the Berlin Wall. Did a little bit of research for the surviving remnant. It's probably just the most primed for drama situation in mankind history, with the communist East, capitalist West, putting up a giant wall, separating families, and just the will of the people to escape that communist regime.
Yeah,
is pretty impressive. And there's a lot of research to be done though before I feel comfortable enough to write it. And oddly, I'm not finding a lot. I'm seeing some general history from the wall's creation in 1961 to its collapse in 1989. But as far as
what it collapsed, no, I'm just kidding.
Reagan won. But yeah, so it's kind of a general, but I'm trying to find more specific, testimonials of what life was truly like in the East and the West. And,
it's interesting. The Berlin Wall, I don't think there's been a ton of stuff since that happened. And that's recent history. Like, I don't remember seeing movies about it necessarily, or a miniseries. I'm sure there have been biographies, but I kind of feel like when that happened, that's when America started turning on itself. Like, we had this enemy, so to speak, the Cold War. And since that happened, it's just all of a sudden, it's like we need someone to fight with. So now we're fighting we're very polarized.
Exactly,
and I attribute that to kind of starting shortly after the wall fell. And there's your armchair historian.
Yeah.
Go with that, Brett. That could be your next book.
Yeah.
As told by Pete Schwaba. So, all right. Well, that's cool. So when are you going to start writing that?
I started outlining it, just finding some pauses where I just don't have a good enough grasp on the history to fully commit to starting writing. You know, I find I need to know what it smelled like. I need to know what the shops looked like. I need to know how people dressed, you know, all of those things to make it authentic.
Yeah.
I just need to get that in my skill set right now.
Have you ever thought about writing like a Christmas story, either whether it's based 100 years ago or currently? I mean, you ever get taken up in the, like, I think for me, my writing partner and I always thought we got to write a great Christmas. Like, I think a lot of writers want to write a Christmas story and have it be like a classic.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, right? But have you ever thought about writing something like that?
I have, but it's more along the lines of Die Hard. So in my thought was, what if the president had a secret surgery on Christmas Eve and a group of terrorists found out about it? And the main protagonist is a nurse that gets called in, and it kind of is like a Die Hard situation. But yeah, I guess that's my Christmas story involves machine guns. So
Conrad, taking notes. Right,
Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
We'll cut you in if we sell it. Yeah, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Have you ever seen the movie Night Shift?
No.
All right, it's Henry Winkler, Michael Keaton. It's Michael Keaton's first film role, and it's a comedy. It's a classic 80s comedy, very funny, and basically they turn a morgue into a brothel.
Okay.
And it's Michael Keaton is brilliant in it, and Shelley Long is in it. She's great. Henry Winkler's very funny. So and the reason I say that is because I do these Hollywood Beats here at Civic Media, and I do a classic movie pick of the week for our new Wisco weekend show on the weekends, and that's my pick this week because it's the same as Die Hard. It's kind of a Christmas movie. It's sort of in around Christmas time, and there's a lot of nice Christmassy moments, but you're dealing with prostitutes, and it's hard to really call it, just like Die Hard, you know, they're killing each other. It's like, it's such a sweet Christmas movie.
It's a story about a man getting home to his family on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, okay, sure. Have you ever, you're like a tall, like you look like you could be the Terminator, Brett. What do you bench? Oh my God, he's going to answer.
No.
Do you bench press?
I do bench press.
No, what do you bench? Come on, tough guy.
No comment.
You don't have to. Because you have this like intellectual writer thing going. You don't look like a lot of writers. Like even when we struck in LA when we were on strike, I used to laugh like you could tell the difference between the actor strikes and the writer strike. Like you look like an actor that would be striking. Writers are like, you know, hunched over in flannels and glasses carrying their signs. You know?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing any acting?
No.
No?
No.
All right.
Too timid.
Well, keep churning out those books, buddy. And I wish you luck. And I hope you come back. Let us know how this book is doing, and let us know when your next one is about to come back or come out. And we'll have you back, and we'll talk about it.
Sounds good.
That's
Thank
fun.
you. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Always good to talk to you, bud. That's Brett Kissinger. Check out his book, The Surviving Remnant. You can brettkissinger.com is the easiest path to sort of find the book.
Or Amazon, either.
It's 386 pages. That's a great length for a book. Like Leon Uris, 900, 1,100 pages. You have to commit a year to that at the rate I read. So I highly recommend the Surviving Remnant. It looks really cool. At least check out brettkissinger.com. Lots more information there. We've got another great show coming up tomorrow night. Dan Schaefer will be here, Conrad. Civic Media's own. He's going to discombobulate things for us. Very much looking forward to having Dan here. And then local actor Kirk Krause will be here in studio as well. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your texts and calls. Get those Christmas cards out, folks. It's right around the corner. This is Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on behalf of the lovable producer, Conrad. Good night, Wisconsin.
I'll take you to your best friend's house, Mama.